And that's exactly where you are, and you're listening to My Country Australia with Pete. And on the phone from Clarence Town, which is up near Newcastle, so he tells me, is Mr. Rory Ellis. Good evening, Rory.
Good evening, Peter. How you going?
I'm well, mate. And yourself?
Very, very good, thank you.
That's good. Now, my listeners probably wouldn't have heard of who Rory Ellis is, because down here in Melbourne, we don't have the biggest country scene. So...
I know. I think it's why I moved.
Fair enough. Now, you've released 9 albums.
That's right.
That's right. So give us a little bit of a rundown of who Rory Ellis is.
Well, Rory Ellis is basically an Americana singer-songwriter. I played in bands all around Melbourne from probably 1989 through to about the year 1998. And... I played in like little blues type bands, I guess, back in the day. And back in the day when you could walk down Smith Street and you had 4 or 5 shows a week, and you only had to go to one street in Melbourne at the time.
True.
And and then about 1998, Pete, I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind writing some of my own material and just doing it myself, and I did, and I had a little bit of a interlude at the Sacred Heart Mission at St Kilda there for a while, and I worked there.
Yep.
And I wrote an album called Ride, and amazingly, it got some incredible media attention. It made got 3/4 page spread in the Australian, 4-star reviews in the Age and Sydney Morning Herald. And,
awesome.
And and then it sort of just went from there. I started playing a lot more festivals and things, like Port Fairy and the National Folk Festival, and what used to be the Apollo Bay Festival, and all those. I sort of geared myself around playing lots of festivals and obviously venues, and then released the second album, which was an album called Road of the Braver Man with a fellow by the name of Dave Steele, who worked with me on 4 albums. Mm-hmm. Steele used to play in a band called Weddings, Parties, Anything.
Yep.
And then it was around about 2004 I decided to make the quantum leap and head overseas, which I spent a lot of time touring over in the UK and Europe from 2004 onwards. And I was very, very lucky. It was I guess it was trial by fire more than anything, Pete, going over there and thinking, okay, what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. But it all started, I got over there by meeting a fellow by the name of Attila the Stockbroker, who was an old punk rock poet, would you believe it? And he introduced me to some people, and then, the rest is history. I played a lot of stuff, a lot of big festivals over there, like the Isle of Wight Festival and Maryport Blues Festival, you name it, Shetland, even the Shetland Island Festival. And then I released the third album, The Rushes, and 2 Feathers, and another album called Perfectly Damaged. And on I went, mate, and we're up to now Inner Outlaw.
Yeah, just getting back to touring England and that, was there much of a country music scene back in 2004? I know there is now. It's huge over in England now.
I wouldn't say there's a huge country music scene, Pete. There's more as Americana, more the crossover. If you went down the road of traditional country music, I'd probably say, if you're doing shows and stuff, there's not that much.
Yeah.
But if the crossover genre of Americana being country, blues, folk type of thing. Yep. Or even some of the old timey stuff, that's really quite popular in there, and also over in mainland Europe as well. And that's where I guess I was fortunate to, adopting the genre of Americana, which I have throughout my career. It allowed me to play blues festivals. It allowed me to play folk festivals, because you could cross those boundaries. Mm-hmm. And that was the fortunate part for me. In fact, it was actually nice the other day. I put up a little note on Facebook back in 2008, I think it was. I managed to do a show there with Richie Havens, who was the guy who opened Woodstock all those years ago.
Okay, yep.
And, it's probably one of the highlights of my career, being able to do that. But, like the festival scene in the UK at the time was phenomenal. There was just so many festivals. It's like you could literally play a festival every weekend if you wanted to.
Yep.
The list was endless. So I was very lucky. And I can remember even just doing one little gig in a place in Southampton and some fella came up to me and says, "Oh, I like what you do." He said, "Would you like to play at my festival?" I said, "Yeah, that'd be great. It's awesome." He said, I'll give you 500 quid and a couple of nights in a Holiday Inn because you look like crap. And I thought I'd been on the road for about 8 months at the time. I said, yeah, that sounds like a good bargain to me, mate.
Very, very much so.
About 2 nights later, Pete, I'm sitting on stage in front of about 5,000 people at the Eastleigh Festival. It's like we're doing a show there with Eric Bibb. So it's quite bizarre how things work out.
It is, mate. Yeah, it is. And look, the country music, as I said, the country music scene in England at the moment, what I know of is growing and getting bigger. And I think my show, My Country Australia's Top 15, I think it's played on 20 stations around England and Europe at the moment. So.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's getting out there, it's getting better, and we're getting Aussie music out there as well. So
gotta love that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, now let's get into it. The Inner Outlaw, which is your brand new album.
Yes.
Okay. The first song off it was called The Letter. Give us a bit of a rundown on that.
Yeah, that was the first single. Look, Pete, this is probably the most amazing story, I think, as a songwriter of so many years that I've ever come across. And basically, 2 fellows were working on the Church Street Bridge in Melbourne, and they were doing cement repair works back in 2011.
Yep.
And chipping away there with the jackhammer into the bridge. And all of a sudden, Paul, one of the fellows, was hit by a bunch of glass shards that just came flying out at him. And so they pulled the jackhammer out of the cement work and revealed a bottle.
Okay.
And so they, carefully removed the bottle. And once the bottle was taken out, they noticed there was 3 bits of rolled up paper inside the bottle. And so they obviously carefully removed that. But unfortunately, because of the age of the bottle, 2 of the actual bits of paper just disintegrated, once they probably hit air. But fortunately, the 3rd bit of paper that they found in the bottle was a letter that was written on the 8th of February 1940. Now, the funny part about the whole thing was that the letter was actually written by my grandfather, Rory Ellis.
Okay.
And he, it took them 6 years to find me.
Yeah.
For 2017, they actually found me, and presented me with this letter. And of course, what's in the letter is probably the most amazing thing. I'd love to read it to you.
Yeah, go for it.
If you'd like.
Yep.
It says, this bottle was placed here on the above date by Joe Eagles and Colin Ellis plasterers who have been repairing the cement work of this bridge since November 1939. The gauge of material used have been 2 parts of sand to 1 of cement. The work was supervised by Mr. Williams of the Crown Council. We both have appreciated his cooperation and conditions of employment. The world war is on at present, brought about by the capitalist section of the world to maintain a rotten system. We hope that when this bottle is found, that the workers of the world will be getting a much more equal share in nature's gifts and the wealth they produce for the class that prioritise them and thieves, even to the extent of murdering each other to protect wealth they do not share in. The capitalists call it war, not murder. We close this with the hope that the workers are enlightened when this bottle is found and that there is peace on earth and goodwill to man. That's the letter.
Awesome.
It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, consider my grandfather was a soldier in World War One. He was a driver, and so he'd seen the atrocities. And the letter was really, I guess his wish for peace. That maybe when that bottle was found, that things would be a lot better in the world.
Probably not.
No. So that was basically the story around the letter, Pete.
Very, very good. Yeah. All right. Well, we're actually going to play the letter very shortly, but we'll move on to the new song, which is called Faden.
Yeah.
Which was released. When was that? It was released a little while ago overseas, but it's only just been released in Australia. That's
right. It's just recently been released about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And it's it's just a little song, for people, even myself. You get to a certain point in your life and you think you're sort of at the crossroads of your life and your career and whatever it is you're doing, and you think, maybe I should try something else, or maybe I should try this,
Yep.
And you see all these hurdles and, snags and things that have, tripped you up along the way, and you know what they are, and you think, and then all of a sudden, you just sort of feel like you're drifting away from it, and sometimes you need to remove yourself from it just to sort of get a bit of perspective as such, and then all of a sudden somebody, comes and kicks you up the bum with and says, maybe you should try a little bit harder, mate, and And you go, all right then, you know. So it's sort of like drifted away from everything you know because you think it's not going so well. And then all of a sudden you realise that you're actually really good at something and you should try a bit harder to make it work better.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
that sort of sounds like my life, my story.
Well, maybe we should have a chat over a beer one day.
My story about my radio career. There you go, eh? Try a little bit harder, you might get somewhere.
Mate, so that's all good.
Yeah. All right, now we've got to be quick because we've got to go very shortly.
Sure,
now, you've got some gigs coming up. I'd say around
January.
Tamworth time.
Yep, we've got a couple of shows coming up. Actually got a support show on the 9th of January at Lazotte's in Newcastle.
Yep.
With Brian Cadd and Russell Morris.
Okay.
And then on the 22nd will be the debut of the new band that I've just put together, which is Rory Ellis and Devil's Right Hand.
Yep.
And featuring some amazing players. We've got Christian Marsh on the harmonica, and we've got Pete Crafty, who was Drew McAllister and Troy Kemp's bass player for years, and Matty Abel, who was played with Casey Chambers for years as well. So,
you want to be careful because I hear Drew and Kempy are back together.
I know. It's like a match made in heaven, isn't it?
It is, yes. That'd be interesting. Yeah, so, sorry. So, continue on.
You were pondering there, weren't you, mate?
Yeah, I was. All right, so that's is that up in Tamworth?
Sorry, mate?
You'll be debuting the band up in Tamworth?
No, just at Lazotte's in Newcastle.
Okay, yep.
The gig's actually on the 22nd of January.
Yep.
And then we're looking at doing some more touring probably in March and beyond.
Okay. Sweet. Now,
we're just pushing the record out there at the moment, which is great, you know, and the support we've had's been amazing, you know, like it's been phenomenal, you know, like we've made the iTunes charts, it's made, you know, all sorts of things, all charts, it's international charts, it's just been phenomenal. And so I just really quickly just like to say thank you so much to everybody who's supported us along the way on this journey and all the people involved in the process of releasing this album.
Yep.
And in particular my beautiful girl Catherine.
Yes, she does a wonderful job pestering me too. All right, now where can the folks purchase in Outlaw now? We don't go to iTunes or Apple.
Well, it's on all the digital platforms.
We don't plug them. We don't plug them. We want them to buy it from you.
Yep, that's well. If they want to buy it from me, they can go straight to RoryEllis.com.
Yep,
and they can go there and they can just buy a copy from me.
No problem. And he'll even sign it for you, folks.
Absolutely.
All right, mate. Well, look, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, Peter. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, don't forget, stay tuned in to between 9 and 10.
Will do.
For the top 15.
Fantastic.
Because Faden makes its debut.
Woo!
So, I'm not telling you where it is, but it makes its debut.
And keep doing what you're doing because you do it great, mate. Thank you so much.
No problems. Thank you very much. All right, well, we are going to now play The Letter. This is Rory Ellis.
This letter, thinking about the times, put it in a bottle for another man to find. High up on the Church Street Bridge, plastering by trade. Happy fall conditions, Mr. Williams' kind of day. Country, horseback river song, seeing the devastation, but life was moving on. Poor man calls it murder, rich man calls it war. Anyway, the barrel points, the poor man takes the fall. So we pray when this letter finds another man, an equal share will find us all and peace be at hand. Bury us in foreign lands, save the ivory tower, fight until we fall, boys, die. defy the doubt, lest we forget, remember all the deeds we carried out. So I pray that when this letter finds another man, an equal share will find us all, and peace be at hand. The Yarra will bridge the cooling land, 2 parts sand, 1 cement, to work our hardened hands. This message in a bottle we left for you to find. May all be equal, fair and right, with peace on earth this time. So I pray that when this letter finds another man, an equal share will find us all, and peace be at hand. Yeah, we pray that when this letter finds another man, an equal share will find us all, and peace be at hand.